Hi, I'm Pratima Scholl,
And I'm Jeff Scholl.
and we're here helping couples communicate with love. So we have a channel on YouTube,
It's a path to peace.
and we are presenting today the 5 love languages. So Valentine's Day is tomorrow,
Right.
and in my experience, Valentine's Day is the best year to feel disappointed.
Best day.
Yeah.
Best day to feel disappointed.
Yeah, I think a lot of women feel disappointed because they didn't receive what they wanted or thought they wanted for Valentine's Day. So I think that ties really well into our topic of the 5 love languages because perhaps he brought home flowers and what she wanted was the vacuum cleaner hung up on the wall. But I do love flowers.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So the 5 Love Languages is a book that was written by Gary Chapman. We found this book many years ago, and I'm sure a lot of you have seen it. We just want to talk a little bit about how we've applied it in our marriage, and what Dr. Chapman, or I don't even know if it's a doctor, but what Gary Chapman explains is that all humans give and receive love in 5 basic ways, or the way that they perceive being loved.
Yeah.
And those 5 different ways are physical touch, words of appreciation or encouragement, quality time, acts of service, and gifts. And
I like all 5, by the way.
and typically a person has 1 or 2 that are primary to them. And I'll give you an example of this. I saw this after reading the book. I started to see myself differently, and I saw other couples differently. And I was visiting my grandparents at the time, shortly after reading this, and I complimented my grandmother on her cooking. And she leans over and she says, "He's never complimented me in 50 years of being married." And I said, "But Jimmy, he loves you." And she said, "Well, I don't see it. I don't hear it." And what I had to help her recognize was that the way that he showed that he loved her was through acts of service. He fixed anytime she said anything about something was broken, he fixed it for her. He would craft things for her, go up to his barn and craft things for her to help make her life easier. And that was the way that he showed that he loved her.
And that's an act of service.
And that's an act of service. And he had never really been told these types of things in his life, so he didn't have that to give. That was the way that he showed it. And once I kind of helped them see that in each other, I don't know that they necessarily got it all the way, but I think they started to see each other differently.
Yeah. It's almost like they're speaking 2 different languages.
Right.
And each one is saying, "I love you," but neither one of them is receiving that message, basically.
And one of the things that Dr. Chapman talks about, and I keep calling him doctor, I don't know if he is, but one of the things that Gary Chapman talks about is something called a love tank. Mm-hmm. And if you're giving love over and over and over, and you're not receiving back what it is that the way that you perceive love, your love tank can go empty. And what that can often lead to is resentment in a relationship. And the other person, just like I shared about my grandparents, may be giving love the way that they perceive being loved, but it's like 2 ships passing in the night. It's not being received with the intention that it's being given. So for 2 people in a relationship to be aware of what each other's love language is, so that you can give that consciously, makes a big difference.
Okay, so what's mine?
Well, you've already said that it's a gift, but I think that you are probably acts of service.
I am.
And quality time.
Very much. Yes.
And what's mine?
Those 2 are really big for me. So for you, I would say the proportions have changed, whereas before it used to be really heavy on appreciation and encouragement, words of appreciation and encouragement, and then quality time. But I think those flipped because we don't get a lot of quality time, and you're still very much a words of appreciation guy, which is why I like to write you cards that touch your heart and make you cry.
Yeah, she does that at least once or twice a year. And not only does she write me the cards, she makes me read them, which makes me, I can't get them out without crying.
Thank you.
Instead of, should be her reading them in my opinion, but.
I'll read you tomorrow's card.
Okay.
I haven't written it yet, so.
Okay.
You know. So, how good of a job am I doing at giving you words of encouragement? I already know the answer, so it's okay. How good of a job am I doing on words of appreciation?
Not very good. You're very good at quality time.
Yeah.
In fact, Pratima's the one that brings us together and makes us really eat as a family, where we're, can often be tempted to go our separate ways and be with our own devices and stuff. And she's made the point to me that, family dinners together are a fundamental part of the relationship. And really, that's the way that I grew up. So she's right. When we eat together as a family, it makes a difference in the way that we communicate with each other.
Right. It does, because I think our daughter is also quality time, but I think lately she's probably more words of appreciation and encouragement. I feel like she just really needs to hear a lot of that, and it is more challenging for me. It doesn't come natural. I have to. That's why a card is good, right? Because I can sit down and really think about it and write it down and mean it. But I'm working on telling you more things that I appreciate, and you've helped me to do that because you've pointed it out, frankly, right? Like, hey, did you notice that I always have the coffee that you love, and I always fill up your carousel? I'm like, I do notice that, and I love that, and I appreciate that, and I'm so sorry that I hadn't said anything before that, because I do, but I'm by myself, and I open it, and I'm like, oh, look, and I have water in my tank. I know. I do appreciate that. Thank you for that.
And I've never been really somebody to be tuning my own horn, so
Sure.
So it's difficult for me to want to point these things out. There's this voice in the back of my head that says she should be recognizing these things. She should be appreciating these things. I shouldn't have to point this stuff out. But all of that, understand that all of that is a judgment in my head, right? It's really me not wanting to stand up for myself and not wanting to point these things out, because what if she doesn't appreciate it? Then it would feel even worse to me, right? So I don't want to do that.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Hey, you did a great job of setting this up too, by the way. I really don't want to have anything to do with this part, so I appreciate that you took that on.
Okay. So I know that I need to do. I don't even need to ask you how I'm doing with acts of service, because I know that I'll use the term from Aaron Brockovich. I suck at it, and so this is something that that I've created a list now, and I'm working through the list, and I at least did something yesterday, where I fixed the light and everything in her room, and it took me a lot longer to get that done than I thought it would take, but I've got a list, and I'll continue to work it. And as the weather gets prettier, then I'll do more of these things.
Okay, thank you. You know what? That's the best Valentine gift, honestly, that I could receive. For like really more, I love it when you bring me flowers, because you bring them to me for no reason,
right? And
I love that because it's for no reason. But yeah, for Valentine's Day, like, that means a lot to me, because it's these little things that I don't do. I don't know how to do for myself, and I think maybe I should hire a handyman, or I don't mind doing that, because I know you don't like it.
Well,
some of those tasks.
So we'll take that offline. That's a discussion we need to discuss offline, because I don't know that I'm opposed to that idea.
Okay.
Okay. So let's. I want you to talk about your self-love before we close this portion out and we move on to the next portion.
Okay, yeah. And we are going to do 5 or 6 videos. We're going to go into each love language a little bit more deeply, maybe even have an exercise or some questions that you could be asking yourself. and your partner, because that's a really hard question to receive, right? Like,
Right.
but I mean, we talk about this stuff, and I struggle with that, and I know you struggle with mine, and just, I'm really okay with that,
Okay. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I came back from this meditation retreat. I was out for a week, and it was great. And it was, he calls it the monastery, and it was with Dr. Joe Dispenza in Florida. And it happened January of 2022, right? So it was a great way to start the year. And I went there with this intention of I want to have a mystical experience. And so that was what I thought was going to happen. But when I got there, I realized that my heart was so empty, right? And there was nothing that anybody could do for me or give me or words of, nothing you did or said was going to be able to fill my heart because it was just empty. And I didn't even realize. So I spent that week filling my heart up. So I'll have a meditation. We'll post it separately and we'll just focus on bringing love to ourselves so that when other people give it to us, we can receive it.
Right. Okay, so let's close this portion, and we will go on to part one.
Oh, wait, like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe. We'll go on to part two.
Bye.